You wake up. You go through the motions. You do what you're supposed to do. But somewhere along the way, you stopped feeling it. Not sadness, not even emptiness in the traditional sense. Just nothing. A flatness. A distance between you and your own life. You look at things that used to excite you and feel nothing. You're with people you love and feel nothing. Good things happen, and you recognize intellectually that they're good, but the feeling doesn't arrive. You're watching your life through glass. This isn't depression. Not exactly. Depression comes with heavy emotions, with pain, with the weight of sadness pressing down. This is the absence of all of that, and somehow the absence is worse. This is emotional numbing, and it's one of the most misunderstood psychological states you can experience. Emotional numbing starts as protection. Your nervous system isn't being cruel when it shuts down your emotions. It's trying to save you. When you're overwhelmed by trauma, by chronic stress, by repeated hurt, by loss that won't stop coming, your system reaches a threshold. Fight or flight won't work. There's nothing to fight, nowhere to run. So your nervous system does the only thing left. It shuts down. This is called dissociation, and it's a survival mechanism. Your brain disconnects from your emotions to allow you to keep functioning. It's the psychological equivalent of your body going into shock after a severe injury. You become a spectator to your own experience. I'm watching this happen to someone else. In the moment it works. You get through something that would otherwise break you. You stay functional when falling apart isn't an option. You protect yourself from feeling things you're not equipped to process. But here's what your nervous system doesn't know. The threat might be gone, but the shutdown remains. The mechanism that was supposed to be temporary becomes your default state. You got through the crisis by not feeling. Now you can't remember how to feel. This is the nervous system shutdown response, specifically the dorsal vagal response. When your system determines that activation won't help, it shifts into conservation mode. Your metabolism slows, your emotional range flattens. You exist in a state of functional hibernation. It's not depression, which involves negative emotions. It's not anxiety, which involves too much activation. This is the absence, the flatline. And because it doesn't hurt the way those conditions hurt, people often don't recognize it as a problem. But the problem is this: you can't selectively numb. You can't block the pain without also blocking the joy. You can't turn off the grief without also turning off the love. When you shut down your emotional system to protect yourself from the bad, you lose access to the good too. You end up living in grayscale. Everything is muted. You go through the motions of your life, but you're not really living it. You're performing it. What triggers emotional numbing? Chronic stress that never resolves. Your system can't stay in fight or flight indefinitely. Eventually, it collapses into shutdown. The stress doesn't have to be dramatic. Years of low-grade pressure can do it just as effectively as acute trauma. Repeated trauma creates a nervous system that learns shutdown is the safest option. If every time you felt things you got hurt, your system learns that feeling equals danger, so it stops letting you feel. Betrayal or violation teaches your system that connection is dangerous. If the people you trusted harmed you, your emotions become the enemy. They led you to trust. They left you vulnerable. Better to feel nothing than risk that again. Prolonged grief, especially grief you weren't allowed to process, exhausts your emotional system. There's only so much sadness a person can hold before the system shuts down to protect itself. The grief doesn't go away. You just stop feeling it. You stop feeling anything. Sometimes medications cause emotional numbing, SSRIs and antipsychotics particularly. The same mechanism that reduces anxiety or stabilizes mood can flatten your entire emotional range. You stop feeling bad, but you also stop feeling good, and no one warned you that might happen. Here's what emotional numbing looks like in practice. You're going through the motions without feeling them. You show up to work, do your job, go home, but there's no satisfaction in accomplishment, no frustration in setback, just autopilot. Your relationships feel hollow. You're with your partner, but you're not really there. You can see they're happy or sad or trying to connect with you, and you recognize what's happening. But you can't access the feeling of caring. You care about caring, but the actual emotion won't arrive. Nothing excites you anymore. Things that used to light you up, hobbies, music, plans with friends, register as obligations now. You do them because you're supposed to, because you remember they once meant something, but the meaning doesn't live in you anymore. Sex becomes mechanical or disappears entirely. Physical pleasure is an emotion, and if emotions are shut down, so is desire. Your body goes through the motions, but there's no presence. Or you avoid it entirely because pretending to feel something you don't is exhausting. Music doesn't move you. This one catches people off guard. Music is visceral. It bypasses cognition and goes straight to emotion. So when music stops affecting you, when you can hear it but not feel it, that's when people start to realize something is wrong. You recognize you should feel something, but you don't. This is the defining feature of emotional numbing. The cognitive awareness of what the appropriate emotion would be, paired with the complete absence of that emotion. You know you should be happy at good news. You know you should be sad at loss. The knowledge is there. The feeling isn't. Fatigue without physical cause becomes constant. Numbing takes energy. Your system is working hard to suppress your emotions, and that suppression is exhausting. But because you're not doing anything obviously strenuous, the fatigue doesn't make sense. You're tired from the effort of feeling nothing. Apathy masquerades as calm. People might even compliment you on how together you seem, how unflappable, how nothing bothers you, and you don't correct them because you don't have the energy to explain that this isn't peace, it's absence. The danger of emotional numbing is that it can be mistaken for healing. You're not crying anymore. You're not having panic attacks. You're not reactive or angry or falling apart. To outside observers, you seem better. Maybe even to yourself you seem better. The chaos has stopped. But healing involves feeling and processing and integrating. This is just pause. You're not better, you're frozen. Relationships erode under emotional numbing. Your partner can feel your absence even when you're physically present. They reach for you and find nothing to hold on to. At first, they try to draw you out. Eventually, they stop trying. Not because they stop loving you, but because loving someone who can't feel you loving them back is slowly breaking their heart. Depression can develop as a secondary condition. You start out numb, then you become depressed about being numb. You're not just absent from your emotions, you're grieving their loss. Now you have both the numbness and the weight of sadness about the numbness. Suicidal ideation can emerge without the strong emotion usually associated with it. It's not, I'm in so much pain I want to die. It's, I'm not in pain or pleasure or anything, and I don't see the point in continuing like this. It's a quiet, logical consideration that life without feeling isn't worth the effort. This makes it particularly dangerous because it doesn't set off the usual alarm bells. The numbed state can become your identity. You forget what it was like to feel things. You can't imagine feeling things again. This is just who I am now becomes the narrative. And once you've accepted that, you stop looking for the way out. Why does emotional numbing persist even after the threat is gone? Because feeling nothing is still safer than feeling pain. Your system learned that emotions lead to overwhelm. It's protecting you from something that might not be happening anymore. But the protection mechanism doesn't know that. It just knows. Emotions equal danger. The numbness itself prevents the motivation to change. To work on emotional numbing, you need to care about changing. But caring is an emotion. If you're numb, you don't care enough to seek help. You recognize intellectually that you should want to feel again, but you can't access the desire. The thing you need in order to heal is the thing that's broken. Unfreezing means feeling everything you've been avoiding. And your system knows that. Somewhere deep in your nervous system, there's a calculation. If you let feeling come back, you'll have to feel all the accumulated grief, fear, anger, and pain you've been holding at bay. That's terrifying. So the numbness remains. Here's what doesn't work. Think positive. Practice gratitude. Just choose to be happy. Emotional numbing isn't a mindset problem. It's a nervous system problem. You can't think your way out of a physiological shutdown. Motivation and willpower don't work either. You can't force yourself to feel. Trying harder just creates more frustration when nothing changes. Traditional talk therapy often doesn't work because talking about feelings requires access to feelings. If you're numbed, there's nothing to talk about. You can discuss your life, but you can't connect to the emotional content. You end up narrating your experience without inhabiting it. What does work is a nervous system regulation. You have to teach your system that it's safe to feel again. That requires bottom-up approaches, body-based work that doesn't rely on cognition or emotion. Titrated exposure to feeling means introducing emotions in small, manageable doses, not diving into the deep end of grief or joy, but finding moments of mild emotion and building tolerance. A few seconds of feeling, then back to baseline. Gradually expanding your capacity. Safety has to be established first. Your nervous system shut down because it didn't feel safe. You can't ask it to come back online until it trusts that feeling won't destroy you. This means creating actual safety in your life. Relationships that don't hurt you, environments that don't overwhelm you, routines that provide stability. Somatic work is often more effective than talk therapy for numbing. Practices like somatic experiencing, EMDR, or trauma-sensitive yoga that work directly with the nervous system and the body. These approaches don't require you to access emotion through cognition. They work with the body's stored responses and help discharge the frozen energy that's keeping you stuck. Movement helps. Not intense exercise necessarily, but mindful movement that brings you back into your body. Walking, dancing, stretching. Anything that reminds your system you're in a body, and that body can feel physical sensations even when emotions are inaccessible. Connection with safe people can gradually thaw the freeze. Not people who demand emotional response from you, but people who can sit with you without needing you to perform feeling. Their regulated nervous system can help regulate yours. Co-regulation is powerful. The return of feeling doesn't happen all at once. It's not a switch that flips from numb to feeling. It's gradual. A moment of mild contentment, a flash of irritation, a few seconds of sadness that doesn't overwhelm you. These are victories. They're proof your system is beginning to trust feeling again. And yes, when feeling returns, you will feel the hard things. The grief you've been avoiding, the anger you couldn't express, the fear you couldn't acknowledge. But you'll also feel the good things. Joy, love, excitement, pleasure, peace. The full spectrum of human experience instead of the flat line. Emotional numbing protected you when you needed protection. Your nervous system did what it had to do to keep you functional. There's no shame in that. But what was adaptive in crisis becomes maladaptive in safety. You don't have to live behind glass anymore. Feeling might be scary, but the absence of feeling is its own kind of death. You're not healing in the numbness. You're just not breaking down. And there's a difference. The way back to feeling is through safety, through patience, through honoring the nervous system that's been trying so hard to protect you. It's through teaching your body that it's okay to feel again. That feeling won't kill you, that you're strong enough now to hold what you couldn't hold before. You didn't choose to go numb, but you can choose to thaw, slowly, carefully, with support, one small feeling at a time.